The last trig function that we will learn to sketch is tangent graph or tan graph. So you need to write your function in this form. And the value of a times b will give you the shape of your graph. And for the phase shift or horizontal shift, you're going to take everything inside the bracket, equal to be equal to 0, and then find the value of x. If x is positive, that means we're shifting the graph to the right. But if x is negative, we're shifting the graph to the left. And value d will tell us whether we need to shift the graph upwards or downwards. And note that for tangent graph, you must find the domain, where x must not equal to n times the period p, and then you need to add with vertical asymptote. So the first step is to write the tangent function in this form, and then look at the value of a times b. If it is positive, the graph will look like this. So this will be your origin, and then the graph will look like stairs going up, and then here will be the vertical asymptotes. But if AB is negative, the graph will looks like staircase going downward. So this will be the origin, and this will be the vertical asymptote. You also need to find the period p, but this time for tangent only, the period will be pi over modulus b. For the second step, you just need to find the phase shift only. So let everything inside bracket equal to 0, and then you need to find the value of x. And the third step is to find the vertical asymptote. So you just need to memorize this inequality. So just write down bx plus c between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. So make sure that the inequality sign here does not have equal sign. Alright, so it mustn't have equal sign. Now let's try and sketch example 21a, where y is equal to tan x. So here you can see that we're going to have plus 1, and then at the back here we're going to have plus 0. Therefore, a is 1, b is also 1, and d is 0. And hence, a times b is 1 times 1, which is positive. So you're going to draw a staircase shape going upward. So this will be your origin, and this dotted line here will be the vertical asymptotes. We also need to find the period, which is pi over modulus b, and we know that b is 1. Therefore, modulus b is also 1. Hence, when the period is just pi, that means this here will be pi. The second step is to find the phase shift. So just write bx plus c equal to 0. In this case, it's going to be x plus 0 equal to 0. And hence, x is just equal to 0. The third step is to find the vertical asymptote using this inequality. So make sure that your inequality sign does not have equal sign. Okay, and it must be between negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2. So now let's solve our inequality. So we already know that bx plus c is x, and that's the vertical asymptote for our function y. So now let's try and sketch our graph. This is the basic shape of our graph, and the period is pi. So the inflection point will be at the origin, like this. Next, we need to do the phase shift. So x equal to 0 means that there is no shifting to the right or to the left. So our graph stays right here. But don't forget to label your vertical asymptote. So vertical asymptote is between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. So the vertical asymptote will be here, which is negative pi over 2, and the other vertical asymptote is pi over 2, which is here. But don't forget that you mustn't only have one cycle. Your graph should be bigger than this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy everything down. Like so. Okay, so don't forget that the period is pi. So period should stay the same for every cycle. So if this is 0, 0 plus pi will give you pi. So here is pi, and hence this point right here will be 0 minus pi, which is negative pi. So this will be labeled as function y, and now we can try and find the domain and range. Okay, so let's recall. For the domain, it is x must not equal to n times the period p plus the vertical asymptote. So the domain is x must not equal to n times p. So the period p is pi in this case. So it's gonna be n times pi plus the vertical asymptote. So vertical asymptote comes from here. So just pick the vertical asymptote that is positive. So the positive vertical asymptote is pi over 2. That's for the domain. Now for range, as you can see, the graph goes from negative infinity until positive infinity. So that's how you sketch the tangent graph and finding the domain and range.